was looking for a school that offered film, but in a liberal arts setting, and I figured what better place to study film than in Los Angeles.
I thought that the diversity of classes that I would be required to take outside of film itself would really help me out as a filmmaker, would really inform the stories that I was wanting to tell.
I was looking for a lot more diversity in the college that I was going to, some kind of either intellectual diversity or like ethnic, kind of religious, social diversity.
I wanted to go to a smaller school where I could have more interaction with my professors and be able to have a lot more freedom with my own projects.
The student-to-teacher ratio is really low, and that really lets me have this luxury of getting to know all the students that I teach personally. Our students have the advantage of being at a school that not only gives them technical skills, but also makes them ask those questions about what am I making, who is my audience, and what am I really trying to say.
There are so many images in media that it's easy to lose our sensitivity and just simply absorb what we see. But critical studies courses help our students to think about the reasons that these images are made, how they are made, why they are made.
Simultaneously, they're also asked to take Introduction to Film and Video, which is an introductory technical course.
You try documentary, you would try a narrative, you could do an experimental.
We're forced to contextualize our ideas in our films and look outside of just what we're doing and look to the global and even look to the local.
LA actually turned out to be a really great scene to take footage from, so I went to downtown LA several times on a bus and just took the camera with me and a tripod.
They realized that every act of filmmaking takes place in a culture, takes place in dialogue with works that have been made before, and in some sense subscribes to a form of ideology.
For my senior comps project, I'm going to be doing a short narrative project on over-medication of youth in America. I'm going to combine both a critical theory on the subject and how it's portrayed in the media, while also making my own portrayal in my own film.
I don't think that even if they're making projects that are comedic or entertaining, that they think they're making movies in a vacuum. The Film and Media Studies program is not a department in and of itself. We're located within an art history and visual arts department, which actually has 3 programs: art history, studio arts, and film and media studies.
And they're all so very closely integrated and they influence each other. I mean, I know art history and studio art have greatly influenced me as a filmmaker.
I cannot imagine students coming to film without having studied a course in art history or in photography, or knowing what art making means.
You need to know what led up to what we're doing in the past 100 years, and if you only know the history of cinema, you still have a very, very limited scope.
My professor in one of my film classes suggested that I take this class for the following term called Advanced Sculpture, the Art of Mixed Media with Professor Mary Beth Heffernan.
Sculpture has moved from being a discrete object on a pedestal to moving onto the floor, to becoming about installation in complete environments, to also incorporating things like video and projected photography.
There was a whole range of people in there all doing different things and working with different materials, and so that's how I got to see film as even more of an art form, because I could use it to tell stories in a non-linear way.
Amy Lyford teaches a class on photography, and a lot of our filmmakers are huge nuts about photography, and I can speak to them very intelligently, and they're always impressed.
As a professor, the biggest goal I have is to get my students to think really critically about the material that they're working with, whether they're reading a text, looking at an image, decoding an advertisement.
I wouldn't have known these things, and I wouldn't have the passion to continue to learn these things if I wasn't educated at Occi.
Our films will cross cultural boundaries. Our films will go into another national context, speak to people from another culture.
Our students study foreign cinema, One of the really great things that our students are able to do in their junior year is have the opportunity to study abroad, to travel abroad.
A lot of the discussion is revolved around American cinema. While I was in Madrid, I got to take critical studies classes with a couple experts. One of them was on Almodovar and his contemporaries and women writers. That was a really rewarding experience because I'm actually writing my thesis this year on Spanish cinema.
So I was starting to get really interested in modern and contemporary art. So when I went to Paris, it was just such an amazing experience to see this art that I had seen, on the computer or in slides, actually in the flesh.
We have a really strong internship program. Our students take what they've learned in the classroom, what they've thought about and theorized, and even their own experiences on their production projects, and they pair up with industry professionals and with organizations in the community to actually get a hands-on experience.
I learned about the internship at Outfest through the Center of Community-Based Learning, and last year I got to be an intern here as a trafficking assistant. And I really wanted to work at Outfest again, and it worked out.
I've actually had 2 different internships. The first internship was with an independent documentarian. My second internship was at WGBH, beacon of TV and radio in the Northeast area.
I interned with Gavin Pallone, who's an ex-agent and a big producer in Hollywood, and I think he's hired another Oxy student based on the relationship that we bridged.
With developments in technology and media, there are all kinds of opportunities and directions that students can move into.
From the archive to film restoration to film festival curation to documentary filmmaking to being a digital artist to being a new sort of renegade of the internet to being a more traditional filmmaker.
I want to be a producer after college, work with writers and directors and help them hone their story.
I'd really like to get into film festival coordination. In particular, I'm interested in working in international film festivals just because of the diversity that they bring.
I work at Endeavor Agency in Beverly Hills. We're one of the top agencies and represent filmmakers, television creators, actors, actresses, writers. We represent Martin Scorsese, who I got to work with personally for 2 years.
I started on a show called Johnny Bravo. Then I moved on to a show called The Powerpuff Girls. By the end of that year, I was head writer of the show. We did the movie, and then I moved on to Dexter's Lab and Samurai Jack. And then the most recent show I was on was Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends.
I had an interview at CAA the day after graduation. Started there, worked there for a year in television, came over to Wonderland. Recently, I was promoted to a TV executive. We have a new pilot on the air. We have 2 other shows that are coming back for their 3rd season, so it's exciting.
I got a job in upstate New York working at a place called Moss Digital, which was doing the animation and visual effects for George Butler's Roving Mars IMAX movie, making a totally 3D Mars environment and putting a Mars rover in it.
I don't think that there's a field that can escape having to either understand and read media images or create them as a means of communicating. So it's a really exciting time for people to major in film and media studies.
Right now is a really special time for Oxy's film program.
We're set to explode.
Students involved with it right now are really ambitious about making it as strong as possible.
With the addition of new faculty and new classes, it's set to get only better.
I can be really confident when talking to parents of prospective students in saying that a degree in film and media studies is not some esoteric thing anymore. In a sense, we're sort of at the center of it all.